What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome back to Writer's Life Wednesdays, where we come together to help you make your story matter and make your author dreams come true. You have a character, their physical appearance, their personality, their desires and fears, and maybe their beliefs, but you're not sure why they are the way they are. Like, why do they believe what they believe? Why do they want what they want? Just because they need to? Not a good enough reason. See, step one to making your characters relatable is making them as much like real people as you possibly can. That means every character in your story is there because they need to be there. Because they have goals and agendas of their own, not just because the plot needs them to be there. So why exactly does your character need to be in this story? Because they have a specific goal they're trying to accomplish? Why? If you don't know the answer to that, chances are it's because you haven't written their backstory. In this video, I'm going to show you my go-to method for developing character backstory. The questions to ask yourself to explore the most vital parts of your character's past and uncover the real reason why they believe what they believe in the present day. This is that extra layer of goodness that will give your character and your whole story more meaning and depth. In short, it is the secret ingredient that keeps your readers up way past their bedtime because they care so much about your characters, they need to know what happens to them. And the way you make that happen is through compelling character backstory. Grab a notebook and let's get started. Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true. Okay, before we get into this, the most important thing to remember about character backstory is this. You don't write backstory for the sake of seeing what happened in your character's past. You write backstory to make sense of who your character is in the present. This is the thing that most writers, especially new writers, forget. They think, okay, I have to write character backstory. Well, my character was born, no. No. Don't start there. Don't go through all that. Please don't put yourself through all of that. Don't put your reader through all of that. The truth is, there are very few things that we actually need to know about your character's past to make sense of who they are today. That's what matters, right? We're always asking ourselves, why does it matter? Why does it matter right now for me to know what happened in the past? Well, I don't have to know everything that happened in the past. I just have to know what happened in the past that shaped this person into the character they are today. Which means we have to, first and foremost, begin with the end in mind. Don't just start writing backstory and see where it takes you. That is a recipe for disaster. It will take you in a million different directions, let me tell you right now, because your imagination will start running wild and you'll get off track because you're not using the compass of who they are today. Make that the goalpost. Who are they today? Why? Okay, it's kind of like having a therapy session with your character, which I've talked about before. I talked about that in my character profile video. Sitting down with your character virtually in your imagination and imagine that you're talking to them, giving them a therapy session, trying to figure out and untangle what is it that has shaped you into the person that you are. Now, if you went to a therapy session and a psychologist started asking you about various pivotal moments in your past, they wouldn't want to know every single detail of everything that ever happened to you, okay? They're trying to unpick the layers of what are the moments that shaped who you are today? What are the things that happened in the past that created this current issue? So it matters now. It's not something that mattered then and then went by and now it's no longer relevant. It matters today. Those are the things you're looking for. Decisions lead you to where you are. So how has your character's past decisions led them to where they are now? Okay, so by this point, you know, digging into your character's past is really all about solving the mystery of who they are today. So let's say you created a character who is defensive and standoffish and mistrusting of everyone. Well, why are they like that? Perhaps because they grew up in an unsafe environment and needed to learn how to survive on their own. Maybe they're an Enneagram 8. Now that we're thinking about that. Side note, the Enneagram is a great way to like hack internal conflict and come up with really great themes and messages and aha moments for your characters without a whole lot of effort and mental struggle. Check out my video on the Enneagram for more information on that. But you can do this with any character, no matter what their misbelief is. Looking at their current misbelief will point you to a clue, really, in their past of where this misbelief came from, because chances are it came from sometime in their past. However, this does not have to be an event from their childhood. It could really be any point in their life when something significant happened and dramatically changed their worldview. Most of your current beliefs probably originated from the downloading stage of your youth, the first 7 years of your life. But depending on the context of your story, some characters may have misbeliefs from early or midlife events that happened to them. Now, I highly recommend writing the backstory scene that changed everything for your characters. Like actually sitting down and writing it as if it was gonna go in your book. Not only will it help to solidify your character's root misbeliefs and desires and fears in your mind, but you may end up using actual pieces of it or the whole thing in your final finished product. Remember, your readers have to see why your character is the way they are so that they can understand why anything matters to them. If you've been here on my channel for a while, you've heard me talk about this all the time, internal conflict, why it matters, constantly asking yourself, why does it matter to my character? And does the reader see that? Because if the reader doesn't see that, then you have a problem. Backstory is a great way to show your reader that. So as you set out to write your character's backstory, ask yourself these questions. What is my character's biggest misbelief? What happened in my character's past to make them believe such a thing? How is my character dissatisfied with their life today because they believe this lie so firmly? What does my character think will make them happy or bring them satisfaction based on their misbelief? I want to show you an example of this, and I love using story examples because I'm a very visual learner. I think a lot of you are also visual learners, and I like to show you what this looks like in action. So today we're using one of my favorite stories of all time, and I can't believe that I have not used this as an example. Like as I was writing out my notes, I'm like, I've never done that before. Crazy, ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about it. Mr. Selfridge. Honestly, just a freaking masterclass in storytelling. I love this show so much and I highly recommend it, especially the first 2 seasons. The first season I think is even the best, but I love season 2 as well. And season 3 is pretty good too, but you know, the first 2 seasons of any show are always the best. Okay, let's case study the protagonist of the story, Harry Selfridge. What is my character's biggest misbelief? Harry's biggest misbelief is that he will not be happy until he achieves his definition of success, which to him looks like being the best in the world at, well, everything. The best father, the best husband, the owner of the best and biggest department store in the world.
Selfridge, you're the talk of the town.
That's what I aim for.
If he doesn't achieve this idea of success, he will feel like a failure, a loser. He can't stand the thought of letting his family down or failing to accomplish his lofty dreams. In other words, he bases his entire sense of self-worth on how successful he is. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to accomplish big dreams and make your family happy. Those are admirable goals. But in Harry's case, this belief is fear-based, and that's why it trips him up again and again. What happened in the character's past to make them believe such a thing? Like most people, Harry's misbelief developed in his childhood. It started when he realized that his father was not actually a war hero who died in the service of his country, but an abusive and neglectful father who left Harry's mother for another woman.
Who's that lady, Pa? Why aren't you at home with Ma and me?
Your ma's high-toned bullshit did it for me. That's why I never came home. But I'm your blood and your mind, whether you like it or not.
We don't actually see much of his backstory in the show, but the one flashback sequence is perfectly timed and perfectly adequate to show us how Harry's past has shaped him into the person he is today. We see how much anger and resentment he still holds for his father, and anyone like him. He's so afraid of ending up like his contemptible father, and that fear drives his motive to be the best at everything.
If your father could see you now, he'd be so proud.
No.
What?
Just don't talk to me about him.
How is the character dissatisfied with their life today because they believe this lie so firmly? Harry's dissatisfaction is complex because it lies below the surface. On the outside, he appears to have everything. He's wealthy, popular, and respected. He has a beautiful wife and children who love him. But still, his fear and misbelief haunt him and make him weak. He's so fixated on not being like his father that he ends up turning into the very thing that he hates. He fails himself again and again, as he enthusiastically cheats on his wife and emotionally neglects his own family. He's not malicious, but he is controlled by his misbelief. It's the root cause of his real dissatisfaction, which creates a rather tragic character. Harry's life is a vicious cycle of indulging his fear-based weaknesses and then resenting himself for his mistakes.
Do you think that I want to be this way? Do you think that it makes me happy?
Oh, no, I meant to feel sorry for you. Is that right? Well, maybe I will tomorrow, but tonight you can go to hell!
What does the character think will make them happy or bring them satisfaction based on their misbelief? Because Harry's internal conflict is essentially be the best so you don't become a failure like your father, his external conflict is always changing as he sets the bar higher and tries to outdo himself, achieving more and seeking a sense of satisfaction and freedom from his past. Ironically, he seems more emotionally invested in his employees than his own family, not because he doesn't care about his family, but because he places so much value on public appearances and measures his self-worth on how much he is able to achieve. What he doesn't realize is that he will never be able to find happiness in money, fame, and success. Not until he has an aha moment, that is.
Here's to making history. How's it feel?
Feels good, Frank. Feels great. No, that's a lie. Now that it's done, it feels like... What was that?
You guys just all need to go watch this show. It's so good. It's just a masterclass in storytelling. Like I said, all the characters are so well written and you'll love it. Okay, so how do you show the reader all of this in your story? I'll show you how. First, you gotta take the prompts that I gave you, write down your answers to them, and then check this out. Your answer to question number 1 should appear in the first 10% of your story and become clear to the reader, as your character's misbelief is what makes us understand and relate to them. Your answer to question number 2 is an important and pivotal moment in your character's past that shaped who they are today. If you don't want to insert the whole scene into your story via a flashback or prologue, find another way to creatively show your reader why your character is the way they are today. Your answer to question number 3 is the crux of the story, the challenge your character will be forced to overcome or be destroyed by. The events of your story's plot should force them into the ring with their fear and misbelief. Your answer to question number 4 will be the goal your protagonist is actively pursuing, at least throughout the first half of your story, before the game-changing midpoint disrupts their plan. For a complete and detailed guide on how to take your beautifully flawed and conflicted character and take them on a transformative journey, check out my 3-act story structure series. Also, if you want to see more examples of character backstory, check out the videos I linked in the description box below. Okay, now it's time for you to talk to me. Comment below this video and tell me what is your favorite character backstory of all time. Analyze that, figure out what is it about your favorite character that you love so much. What have you learned about their backstory that has made you care about them? Then go about doing that for your own character. Smash that like button if you liked this video, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos and publishing videos every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you here in the community. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon, because that's where we go beyond videos and take storytelling to the next level. The Patreon community is not only the best way to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, but it's also the only way to connect one-on-one with me and get better guidance and advice on your story. So go to patreon.com/AbbyEmmons and check out all the awesome exclusive content I have over there for you. Until next week, my friend, rock on. but you're not sure why they are the way they are, and why am I losing my voice so soon. The first 2 seasons of any show are always the best. I don't know why that is. Actually, I do, but we won't go into it now. Okay, maybe someday I'll make a video that's like, why the first 2 seasons are always the best.